Well, welcome back to Friendly Freethinker if you're coming back. If not, and it's your first time, welcome. I am Chris, and I reflect on things that matter to me or that keep cycling back to me through the years, my years as an evangelical Christian, a Pentecostal Christian, a conservative Christian, then a liberal Christian, progressive Christian, and then no longer Christian and no longer a believer in the supernatural. So that's my foundation right now as a secular person, which means I am who I am, and this is all we get in my way of thinking. This is our only life, and so why not live it the best? Okay, so this weekend I've been invited to speak to a group, spiritual group in California via Zoom. And so they asked me to speak on a topic that I covered in an earlier Substack. And the topic is Jesus is dead. Okay. And subtitle would be something like, now what? What's next? If we accept that Jesus is dead. So as I was reflecting on this, I started writing something else down a little bit. I'm probably not going to share this on Sunday, I don't know. But I was thinking about a former neighbor of ours here in North Carolina, Billy Graham. Yes, the great preacher, Billy Graham. And I was remembering that back in my early teen years, I talk about this in some of my books and maybe ad infinitum, I come back to this topic because it was significant in my life, because becoming a born-again Christian kind of set me on the course, which went all the way through Christian college and seminary and ordination and Christian ministry and chaplaincy for many years. And now as a secular person, I still reflect back on this and I find value in many of those experiences. I have a background, so nobody can accuse me of not knowing from the inside out what it means to be a person of faith, a Christian, a believer. And so I went back in my mind, as I was reflecting on this concept of Jesus is dead, I was thinking, well, I was taught that Jesus was alive. And that goes all the way back to Sunday school, growing up in the Protestant church. But it also goes back to good old Billy and his preaching and my conversion experience, looking at that little black and white television in my room when I was in my early teenage years. So this is what I wrote down. It's very short. Billy Graham, reflecting on Billy Graham. He didn't scare the hell out of me, but he did put the fear of hell in me. Believe or else. He didn't say that specifically, but it still was that same old tired evangelical message, believe or else. And so he put that fear of hell in me kind of like in the back pocket along with Jesus. At least his loving Christ, because it wasn't Jesus. That's the point I wanted to make. It wasn't Jesus. It was Christ. Not the man, not the human being, not the rabbi of Nazareth, the Palestinian Jewish preacher. Nope. Billy's Christ was Paul's Christ. The Superman, the superhuman, mythical figure, the heavenly deity up there, high above humanity, far above earthly flesh and blood, the fallen, sinful, bodily flesh, the flesh. Paul spoke about the flesh, bad stuff, bad. So Billy led me to accept his Christ, Paul's Christ, into my heart. but not, this is the significant point I want to make, but not a Jesus who could fit in my head. Okay? Christ in my heart, but not a Jesus who could fit in my head. And it took years for me to wrap my mind around that, around something that I couldn't wrap my mind around. Because you know what? You can't wrap your mind around Christ. But Jesus, the man, the human being, we can kind of get a sense of him as a human being. So when I speak of Jesus being dead, I mean that Jesus was alive and that he died, right? And we do with that what we do it with any of the spiritual teachers of history or any of the teachers of history who have passed on, gone over, died, really died. So that's what I have been thinking about and interested in what you think of this. But I just felt like I needed to say something about Billy and Billy's Christ and my own years of trying to figure out, who is Jesus and does he matter, particularly if he's dead. All right? So that's what I'm thinking about. See you soon.